We got Scott?
We do, yes.
Just stay on this camera, by the way. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, a day early. What's
Yeah,
going on?
I got a kids event afterwards, so I decided to go the famous Riddler costume that I do every single year for the show. I've talked about it for years with the fans, so I decided to bust it out. How are you?
I'm great, and even better now. I love the look. It looks fantastic. Obviously, it's very A's festive as well. So, oh man, you're dumbing down on me a little bit. Now, who you turning into?
No, I put the A's Titleist golf hat on. It was getting hot. I've had it on for a half hour. So I have to bring this up because the last time we had you on, you're at MLB Network. It was spring training. I want to say you were in Tempe with the Angels. And then I'm sure for a lot of our fans, where did you go? Now Foul Territory starts up, but you were fabulous on MLB Network. Tell the story about Foul Territory because we got so used to you on MLB Network, and then all of a sudden, this new career choice. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. MLB, I was there for over 11 years, and then I was like, gotta go. So I left officially in February. We've been talking about doing this for a while. There's actually a great article in Awful Announcing from last week. I didn't know it was going to turn into that, but recommend everyone take a peek. It's all over socials, but been speaking to current and former players for years about what our game was missing from a media perspective. And I felt like more connection with players, more of that clubhouse feel, which we all know we're around players all the time. There's such great drama, conversations, authenticity that it just felt like we were missing in our sport that football and basketball had. So here we go. I mean, to put it really simply, if, people like say Pat McAfee show or what some of the guys at I Am Athlete are doing on the football world, right? All these media driven or athlete media driven shows and outlets that are out there just didn't see anything for baseball. Everyone was like, where is it? And we finally decided, screw it. Let's all put it together. So full-time gig hosting Foul Territory with a cast of 10 people that are a part of it, all former players besides myself. And then Ken Rosenthal makes frequent stops. But then on the writer side of things too, I mean, what I've found is we actually have, more writers and insiders that are a part of the mix than I initially anticipated, because it's just become more of like this national or even international home for covering baseball in my mind, the way that it should be covered. All 30 teams, no holding back, doesn't matter what the topic is, right? We go for it. And I think that's what the sport wants. And a younger audience too, that's into authenticity and is used to growing up where someone does this and they start telling people what their thoughts are. And it doesn't matter what, a corporation says, or they don't have to worry about, how pointed they have to be with their speech. And you're seeing that. So it creates a lot of viral moments. I think it's just cool access for players too. So it's been awesome. Yeah, I had a great ride with MLB. I felt like this was a once in a lifetime opportunity that I was a part of founding and starting up, and we're just getting started. We've had a lot of great audience interaction and now have the flagship show of Foul Territory, but many others that have been created from it, including Ken Rosenthal's Fair Territory, Legends Territory, which has had some cool combos with some major former players, Hall of Famers. So here I am, happier than ever too, most importantly in life.
Well, think about it. Years ago, when we started this, people thought we were crazy, right? We were the first team to do it. You'd been on the show. We'd had everybody on MLB Network's been on the show. We're going to be at the winter meetings again in Nashville. We're at the last two ones in San Diego. And everybody kind of looked at us in baseball from a team standpoint, because obviously what's different is you're not affiliated with a team. We're affiliated with a team. But all the teams are following what we're doing. They've been following since we started this thing in 2019. And how do you monetize it? How do you do it? So we've been the guinea pig of baseball. And that's why I'm so happy for you guys, because you're now in this space. And I just think about, I used to do a weekly show when AJ Przinsky was with the Giants. I was on the Giants flagship station, KNBR. We had him once a week. So I just watch you guys. I watch your clips, and I know how he's a funny guy. He's a tough guy. He can be prickly at times. He's perfect for something like this. And I'm just so happy for you guys, because people need to understand this is where it's going. Terrestrial radio, cable, that's all leaving. The commissioners talked about they may be taking over 16 of the 30 broadcasts this upcoming season. So what you guys are doing, great. I'm happy for you as we're all heading to, this is the new frontier.
And I've been on board, by the way. So if you go back to my own history, which I don't really self-promote much, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing behind the scenes just as much as being a part of what's, in front of the phone camera, whatever you want to call it these days. I'm a part of, founding this, developing it, hiring, sales, the whole deal, which I love to do behind the scenes and hadn't really had an opportunity to kind of fully spread my wings. When MLB started partnering with tech companies, I was one of the first people to raise my hand when it was like, hey, would you rather call a game that's non-exclusive on linear TV only or an exclusive game that's for Facebook? I'm like, that's not even a question. For most people in my spot at the time, which was almost a decade ago, the answer was obviously TV. I don't want to be on Facebook for the game. And I was like, obviously Facebook for an exclusive game. What are you talking about? That eventually turned into the YouTube package that I was the voice of for, what was that, maybe 4 years that we ran it. And that relationship ended last year with MLB and YouTube, but same thing. I was like, this is the best thing going in my mind. This is what I'm consuming. So I was like, I'm going to be part of what I'm consuming. And we got to do exclusive games for YouTube. They were an awesome partner. I love doing those games. And the last year I did it was myself and Yonder Alonso. You can bring in fans like this and have conversations with them on a live chat that's all built within the same app. It was great. So I'm completely on board. I've loved what you guys are doing for a long time. I've wondered where is it for everyone else, but as you know, it takes a lot of hustle, a lot of buy-in from a lot of people. It's not easy to pull off. Same thing that we've experienced. A lot of former players that we're working with, I have to sacrifice time. A lot of them made a lot of money. They don't have to do anything if they don't want to, but they want to be part of the game, right? So how can we bring media to them? We can bring media to them by having home studios for players and building them up for them. That's what we did, right? By making everything as easy as possible. We do hit the road for shows already this year at times. We have a big partnership with BetMGM. We'll do shows at casinos and at ballparks, but we're not abusing time of anyone because most of these players, especially if they did well and they made money, Pierzynski and Todd Frazier, Adam Jones, some of these guys, they're not going to be able to sell their family on going to call 150 games for name that team. It's not going to happen, right? Those gigs are not paying $5 million. Like they make more. I mean, I'm generalizing here, but they probably can keep their money in their piggy bank and make more on interest. So it has to be convenient for them, but we have to, it's important, I think, for our game to make sure that the most prominent personalities in our sport as they retire still have a voice, because that's what drives fan engagement as well. They want to hear from those guys when something goes down. And in football, they've got it down to a T. You're a major quarterback, you're going to be somewhere, and it doesn't have to be on air anymore, right? Or on a regular TV network. It could be your own company like the Mannings have with Omaha, which is another great example. But we need that. And so that's why this has come together and will continue to grow, because we're putting it in a position where more people, more former players can join the party and they can expand themselves.
How important is it for you after all those years of doing great work at MLB Network, but now you can do what you want to do?
It's everything. Feel like it's liberating, and it's not, there's zero regret. And I loved what I did. I just felt like, also put the Theo Epstein theory on it, where he said 10 years at a spot. No, I will not stay beyond that. Obviously, Theo's accomplished a lot. I'm just saying I liked that idea. You only get one life. I don't want to be at the same place the entire time. If you're completely in love and you're doing every single iota of what you imagine you would do, that's fine. And even if you are doing that and then your dreams change and you evolve as a person, that's fine too. So that's what happened with me. I just felt like I did what I wanted to do there. The direction of where media is going is not part of just straight up linear television. So for me, this is where it's at. And it's also, just so you know, this show is on linear TV too. Like one of our deals that we signed pretty early on was with Stadium, which is not just a streaming app that's free, but also they have, I mean, like when I visited my parents a month ago, I turned on the TV, the first thing that was on was Foul Territory. And it wasn't from YouTube even connected. It was from their Stadium channel that they have on linear TV. So I still believe in reaching everyone. I just felt like that's what you need to do. You need to reach everyone where they are. They don't need to come to you. And it's something we should just keep talking about in baseball as well, because you can't send people to 50 different directions. You need to go to where they are, which I think everyone understands that. It's easier said than done, but we have content on not just every social platform, but we're trying to get content on just every platform, period, so that we can hit more baseball fans.
No doubt about it. And as you mentioned, if you're not hitting people here, you're crazy. That's where women are now more likely to be angry that they forgot their phone than their purse if they leave the house. I mean, there's statistics that we're so phone driven, it's unbelievable. Getting to the World Series, we've talked about all that. We've talked about how home field advantage doesn't matter anymore. This whole score first, the team wins. What are you making so far of just the playoffs and the World Series in general?
By the way, I would echo that. My phone is my wallet. I don't want to show, but that's
because you got Apple Pay or whatever. It's like you can survive without the purse now.
I'm a techie. I got it all there. So yes, if the phone is gone, I'm lost. I try to give myself breaks, but we know the deal. Like that is where I'm getting everything that I'm doing.
It's crack. It's okay. You can say it. It's crack.
I can't get to a destination. I can't pay. I can't learn anything pretty much. Right. Obviously, yeah, sure. There's old school books. It's not me. I'm built off my device, and probably part of it is a product of what I do for a living. But World Series time. Here's the thing that stands out to me in a lot of the conversations we've had, both with current, former players, writers. The Diamondbacks were a sexy team in spring training, if everyone remembers, because of the brand of baseball that they played. They ended up having a good, not great season, and there are a number of reasons to that. It certainly doesn't look like the most power-packed juggernaut franchise we've seen. Yeah, they molded their roster what they thought was around a rule change and an evolution of our game that has gone down right now. It has happened, and that gets magnified in the playoffs. So we're seeing that with Arizona. Now, they surprised everyone with their power against the Dodgers, and there is pop in those bats, but not a ton. I mean, Mike Hazen, who's the GM of the team, who made some really incredible trades over the last few years, was the first one to say multiple times this year on the record, we are not going to be the top home run hitting team. We have to find out other ways to win. So they've done that. They make contact. They're paying in the, I don't know if I can say what I'm allowed to say on this here, but they're paying in the whatever you want to call it on the bases, right? They're always wreaking havoc there. And at this point, it's just get on the bases and go. I mean, they don't get caught. Like anybody that's on the bases for them, not anybody, but just about anybody can move, can run. They've got it down to a T. So I think it's a dangerous team, but I think they're setting a new tone for how we'll look at things in the offseason because it's a copycat league. I think people are going to be like, hold up, maybe we need to operate a little bit differently as a franchise. I mean, of course, to use your where's the big team or the big market franchise example, the Yankees are like the opposite of the Diamondbacks. They clog up bases. They need to get younger and more athletic. So, and I think it's not just about spending or not spending money. It goes well beyond that. Like the Yankees could have spent differently. They chose when they had a chance with free agency, aside from Judge, they chose to overlook someone like Bryce Harper, and now their fans have been freaking out. Dude was in his mid-20s. That's a great sign for a franchise like that. So I don't know how I got there, but the point is we're learning a lot from this World Series right now, and I don't think it's a fluke. I think there will be more teams that are built like the Diamondbacks over the next whatever it is years until the game changes again. On the other side, the Rangers on paper are a better team. They've got more star power. There's a reason why they're here too. I think they proved to everyone why you don't need to tank and rebuild for 1 billion years to create a great franchise. They went through their lean years, but not that long. And then they were able to build it back up quickly with superstars that they bought that have delivered. Semion's had a tough postseason, but he was great for them during the year. Seager's a top 3 hitter in the sport and top probably 5 or 6 player overall in the sport right now. So when I add it all up at this point, I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. I would be shocked if it doesn't go at least 6 games in my mind. But Arizona is very close to being up 2-0 in this series right now. I still give the Rangers the edge. Like if I had to predict, not that I've done that well in this postseason, but if I had to predict, I would say Rangers in 7, but I don't feel good about it.
I had the Diamondbacks in 5, and boy, I could have been looking real good because I think their style of play to me, and this goes against the A's because when we were in the playoffs in 18, 19, and 20, we were built off home runs and walks. And this league, especially the big market teams, have been built on the 3 true outcomes. And what ends up happening is that works great for 6 months. And that's great in July in Kansas City, or now August in Oakland beating up on us. But now you get to the postseason, if the ball's not going out, you're being exposed. And that's what the Diamondbacks are doing to you because they're hitting, they're running, they're bunting, they're doing all these different things that win baseball games. athleticism plays, defense plays, bullpen. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. And I wonder what exactly what you're saying too. And if baseball does go to only 12 pitchers like they're talking about, so maybe less openers, and you're gonna have to get more from starters and everything. But this style of play of younger athleticism, movement, great defense, the Diamondbacks are showing us something. Yeah, and it wasn't. There was a certain point in the year before it kind of started going bad for Torey Lovello, but at one point they were leading the Dodgers in division. We love him, by the way. We've had him on the show. I've got it written down here because he's a former ace, so we bring him on the show. And he said to us, they're built on 4 things: love, trust, commitment, and effort. Not one of those is an analytic.
No, you also need talent. But yes, I love Torey. He's awesome. I love him. But you're right. What you're describing about those A's teams that had a good run, I don't, because I'm looking at the big picture, and there was success there in the regular season. But tell me which brand of baseball is more fun to watch. It's not even close. Is it? No. Who's sitting there going, you know what I really love? A 3 true outcome all the time. And it's not even an old school versus a new school thing. I mean, last time I was on with you, and you've seen me on, I mean, I hosted plenty of like numbers driven shows. I like some of that stuff. I like some of the, stats that have been created. And thanks to, say, StatCast, where we've been able to measure exit velocity and sprint speed to see who's the fastest on the base path in certain, to a certain extent, outs above average, because I still think we have a lot of work to do in terms of defensive metrics. I can talk new age stats, but I think it goes beyond that. It's just like, this is entertainment. I want to watch fun. And to me, where the game was slowing down a ton and you just weren't getting action, that's taking away from the brand of ball that I fell in love with. And I know that the younger generation, because I'm not that young anymore, the younger generation does not want to see that either. They want pace. They want action. They don't want to have an excuse that they have to go to this every 5 seconds. So I think we're heading in a good direction. And I have to imagine, actually, and I haven't really thought of this much, but I have to imagine the league loves seeing the Diamondbacks in a spot like this, because this helps the push of getting away from that kind of clogged up brand of baseball that we got for a 10-year period and getting to more action. Of course, we want more athletes too. Like the Diamondbacks are showing us that we get more athletic ball players into this sport, more bat to ball skills, more speed. It's going to help. So that's great, because if you're a player, you might get a little bit more of a look if you're missing a little on your power tool, but you've got everything else, where in the past for a while that gets heavily discounted. So yeah, I'm all about it. I think it's cool. I hope we get more players like this into our sport.
Let's end on this. With all the players that you have, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this, just when they talk about the difference between playing in the postseason and playing in the regular season, what do they talk about?
I think it's completely different, right? Because you get into this wave of, I don't want to say getting by or routine or anything, but it can get monotonous and it gets methodical, and that's fine. I think that's how they get through such a long, really grueling stretch. Sure, you can say like they're not getting bashed. It's not football every day, but being asked to perform at that level for that amount of time every single day, and also the fact that hitting a baseball is probably the hardest thing to do in any pro sport, it's a lot. Now the postseason comes and it's different. Everything's shortened, everything's intensified. The strategy is definitely held to a much higher standard. I think many guys are kind of more tight and nervous, but actually what we've seen is there's plenty of other guys that, even if they feel more intensity and pressure on the situation, knowing how much is at stake, I think the ones that we've had on our show, like I'm thinking of some of the Diamondbacks that we've had on over the last couple of weeks, Brandon Pfaadt, and Lawler maybe was a little more shy because he's been in the league for 5 minutes. Not that Pfaadt's been in for that much longer. Paul Sewald, Jace Peterson, some of these guys, they're trying to, at least with us, relax for 20 minutes and be like, yo, it's still life. It's still a day. And if I go too hard and get too tight, and that's usually recipe for choking, right? For not doing well. So I think it's different. They know that, but they're trying to treat it the same,
No doubt. It's fascinating, because we focus so much postseason with football and the NBA. I covered both for years, and then baseball. It's just random playoffs. It's like, we're now getting more into a tournament style. It's I really enjoyed it. By the way, let me just say this: You look and sound happy. That's the
Yeah.
number one thing. You look and sound happy.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to doing something like this, for a while. So I appreciate it. It's genuine. I am happier than ever. Yeah, I needed a change. Need to switch things up. I'm pretty opinionated, and I do not take center stage on Foul Territory. For anyone that's listening here right now that's, tuned into what we do. I do not take center stage, but I do try and, represent the fan perspective, the media broadcaster type of perspective, with the players, the former players and current players that we have on, and the insiders and writers. So I just feel like I've never been able to fully express my opinion. I mean, also, yeah. I mean, I worked for the league. Like, there are limitations there. It's not even like, oh, I can't talk about something. That was part of it sometimes, but it's also like not even part of the agenda of a show sometimes. Like, it's not even brought up, like topics that we really like to get into. So you feel like that's kind of bottled up, and I feel like I don't have to be as much of an actor, for lack of a better word. It's not like you were faking everything you were saying, but I don't have to worry about anything anymore. I'm just here with friends, having a good time, which I think is what modern media looks like. It's what you're doing right now, right? It's just like, hey, we're live on YouTube, join the party. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes to make it look and sound and have guests and everything like that be so great. But at the same time, at the end of the day, people just want to have relatable humans that they can talk to, that they can listen to. And that's what I feel now so much more than in the past. So yes, you are spot on. I am definitely happy.
Well, the content's great. Your guys' stuff, what you're doing, and you guys are just going to grow. We're really happy for you. And are you going to be in Nashville?
Not sure yet, because we've got a few other trips we're figuring out. So this year's been really nuts. Like, I didn't think it would take off to this extent. So we're kind of like week by week with our schedule right now, but we will be on the road multiple times in the off season. I just don't know if we're doing that. A lot of it, like, it's been up in the air with sponsors sending us to places. So new show. So sometimes sponsors fund certain things and don't fund other things. So we'll see, TBD, because we didn't really plan to do that. But I also didn't plan that I would be on the road basically every other week the entire season to do a show from somewhere. I thought we would, like I told you earlier, I'm trying to be in the homes of the players and just do shows in the studios. And then you get some popularity, you get some sponsors, and they want you to go do shows on the road. So to answer your question, I would say probably not. I don't think we need to be there versus some of the other things that we want to travel for coming up. So, but also that could change like in a week. And we got to get you on at some point.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have a set always. We'd love to have you come by the set. We get everybody to stop by and keep promote what you guys are doing. But if not, yeah, don't be a stranger. I'd love to come on, but we'd love to have you come on again because I've always loved your work. I think you're a fantastic broadcaster. I'm happy that you guys, all of us going this way, we're all really helping each other. We're conditioning the fans to, you got to get off cable. You got to get off terrestrial radio. This is where you need to come. We're all going forward together.
And it's free, yeah. And I care about that a lot too, right? It's free. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your financial situation is. Yes, I mean, you have to have some type of device. But aside from that, we're not charging anyone anything to do anything. The way that this is supported for the most part, is from sponsors and stuff like that. So our fans have been very supportive on that front too. Obviously we're going to throw like you do and like anyone would do, promo codes and stuff like that, but that's good. That means you don't have to pay $300 for cable and everything else. You're still going to have to pay them for your internet unless you got some other plans that you're able to figure out. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's important to me. I really, and I remember seeing that from some of the other shops that we were also looking at to see how they were operating with athletes, right? And you would hear from a lot of people that are in charge of their own media outlets saying like, hey, we want our fans to be able to access all, if not most, of what we're doing for free, right? On pod and on socials and on YouTube and everywhere else. So, and same thing, even our distribution deal on Stadium. So, sure, if a place comes calling, which there's been some conversations and they want to give us millions of dollars to be on a certain platform, the answer, I'll tell you right now, because I can already tell you the answer. The answer will be yes, but we'll create that for you because there's no rules. We can just create another show, and we still want to be able to access our fans for free somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. It's a lot of fun, and the insight from all the players that you're getting is second to none. So continued success, and let's talk soon.
Yes. Appreciate it. Welcome. Come on anytime. So we'll hit you up. Our people will talk to your people.
All right, buddy. You be well.
Cheers. Have fun.